I'm Dr. Burgess from Countryside Veterinary Clinic, and today I'm going to be talking to you about canine heartworm disease. My assistant Danielle will be asking me some questions so I can inform you about the diagnosis, treatment, and prevention of this serious disease.
Dr. Burgess, what is heartworm disease and how can it affect my dog?
So heartworm is a parasite that actually affects the heart. It goes into the bloodstream, and when you have adults, they actually live in the chambers of the heart like this and can affect cardiovascular function, respiratory function, and other organ systems.
How would my dog catch heartworm?
Heartworm disease is transmitted by mosquitoes. So a mosquito actually bites a dog that is infected with heartworm disease, picks up the larval stages from them, and then goes to another dog, bites that dog, and infects it. So typically this disease is thought to be in coastal areas or areas that are very hot. However, in the state of Maryland, where we live, we're concerned about heartworm disease year-round because the mosquitoes can kind of be around whenever they want. Our weather is very variable, and we are pretty coastal.
Can heartworm be prevented?
Yes, heartworm disease can be prevented by using a monthly larvicide, so a parasite prevention that kills the larval stages before they can develop into these unfriendly adult stages.
What are the signs of my dog that would indicate my dog has heartworms?
Well, a lot of cases of early heartworm disease or mild, low worm burden heartworm disease are asymptomatic. So we actually screen dogs at our clinic every year for heartworm antigen, even if they're asymptomatic, even if they've been on heartworm prevention, so that we can catch any cases that might pop up. So asymptomatic is kind of number one for us. However, in early stages, you can have lethargy, coughing, shortness of breath.
What are some middle to late stage symptoms of heartworm?
If you have a severe worm burden, you can have congestion in the lungs or in the liver, so you could have bulging ribs, you can have a bulging abdomen, you could develop a heart murmur because of those worms affecting the function of the heart.
How is heartworm disease diagnosed?
Initially, as I said, we would do the antigen test, which tells us that there are adult heartworms giving off a substance that's screened for in the bloodstream. If you wanted to confirm that diagnosis, you do something called a microfilaria test that tests for the larva in the blood, and that tells us you do have an adult heartworm infestation that we need to deal with.
How would heartworm disease be treated?
The treatment for heartworm disease, while it is treatable, especially if it's in the early stages, is not very fun. You have to do an injection into the spinal muscles in the dog. We typically do 3 injections, one on the first day, then one a month later, and one a day later. These injections can be painful. We do put them on steroids to reduce inflammation. We also have them on strict activity restriction because as these worms die off, they might give little pieces off into the dog's heart and into the dog's bloodstream, and we never want those to cause any sort of clot or issue. So, the dog's pretty restricted for a couple of months and has to come into the clinic and do all these things. So we would much rather your dog not get heartworm disease than have to be treated for it.
How soon should I bring in my dog to see a veterinarian for heartworm prevention?
Your dog should come in as soon as possible. So if you have a puppy, we recommend bringing it in as soon as possible after you get it. We recommend starting puppies at 8 weeks on heartworm prevention, or again, as soon as you have them. Any dog over 6 months should have a heartworm test prior to starting for heartworm prevention. So we do recommend bringing in any rescues or adoptees or adult dogs that you might get as soon as possible, and we would screen them for heartworm and then get them on heartworm prevention as well. So we do recommend, like I said, preventing heartworm disease is much easier than treating it. Please call our clinic if you have any questions or concerns about how to prevent or diagnose this serious disease.